Emily's world is shattered when she discovers her husband, Daniel, has been cheating, heartbroken, and betrayed. She confronts him, but his apologies only deepen the pain. As she navigates the emotional wreckage of their marriage, Emily uncovers shocking truths about Daniel's double life. With the help of an unexpected ally, she begins to find the strength to rebuild. But as the truth comes to light, Emily is forced to make a choice that will change everything. Will she find forgiveness, or will the betrayal break her forever? Watch to see how Emily's journey unfolds. It's a story you won't want to miss. The quiet suburbs of Oak Ridge had always been a place where people went to escape the chaos of the city. A place where neighbors knew each other's names and waved as they passed by. Life here had a rhythm, one that was predictable, easy to ignore if you weren't paying attention. But sometimes, behind closed doors, even the quietest places hold the loudest secrets. Meet Emily, a 32-year-old woman who, on the surface, has everything she ever dreamed of. A successful career as a marketing director, a picture-perfect house with a white picket fence, and a handsome husband named Daniel. They've been together for almost a decade, married for 5 years, and their social media feeds are a collection of happy family photos, vacation snaps, and holiday gatherings that make anyone who sees them think they have the perfect life. Emily, in particular, has always prided herself on having her life together. But here's the thing: even when you think everything is perfect, things aren't always what they seem. The story begins one evening after dinner. Emily is in the kitchen, cleaning up the dishes. Daniel is sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He's quiet tonight, more than usual. She doesn't think much of it at first, brushing it off as him just being tired from work. They've been married for 5 years, but if she's being honest, it hasn't always been easy. The sparkle in their relationship has started to fade. They don't talk as much as they used to. Conversations have become more about logistics: who's picking up the groceries, what time the meeting is tomorrow, or how their schedules are packed. The us in their relationship feels like it's been replaced by I, and not in the fun, independent way either. But Emily doesn't think too deeply about it. She's busy after all. She's juggling work, social commitments, and trying to keep things together at home. She assumes Daniel is just going through a phase. Every marriage has them, right? Emily walks over to the couch, leaning down to kiss him on the cheek. "How was your day, babe?" she asks, genuinely trying to connect, even if it feels like a bit of a forced routine these days. Daniel looks up from his phone, almost startled. "Oh, it was good. Just the usual." He doesn't say much more, just goes back to his phone. Emily doesn't push it. She returns to the kitchen, still scrubbing a stubborn stain on a pot, but her mind keeps wandering back to the strange distance between them. She wonders if it's just the pressures of life catching up with them, or maybe it's something deeper. She's heard of couples who drift apart slowly, without even realizing it. She doesn't want to believe that's what's happening to them. Not now, not after everything they've built together. Later that night, after they've both gone to bed, Emily lies awake, staring at the ceiling. She can hear Daniel's steady breathing next to her, but it feels different tonight, like he's farther away than usual, even though he's right there. She turns over to face him, her eyes scanning his face in the dim light. There's something about his expression that feels off. She can't put her finger on it, but there's an almost imperceptible tension in the way he's lying. Her thoughts start racing. Could something be going on? Is there someone else? She pushes the thought away, trying to focus on sleep. Maybe she's just being paranoid. After all, they've been through a lot. Life gets busy, but the nagging feeling in the pit of her stomach doesn't go away. The next morning, everything seems normal. Daniel kisses her goodbye as he heads out for work, and Emily gets on with her day. She heads to the office, her usual routine, but throughout the day, she can't shake that uneasy feeling. Every time she picks up her phone or opens an app, her eyes drift to the messages on his phone, especially his text notifications. There's nothing suspicious, nothing overt. But still, something feels off. A text from a colleague here, an oddly vague response to a work-related question there. It's all too familiar. She's seen this before in other relationships, small signs that things aren't quite as they seem. By the time she gets home that evening, the feeling is stronger. Her instincts are telling her something isn't right, and she can't ignore them anymore. Emily tells herself she's being dramatic, but deep down, she knows she's not. She watches Daniel as he comes through the door, smiling and making small talk. He seems just like the man she married, but there's something about his energy that feels different. His eyes are darting around a little more than usual, and he's a bit quicker to change the subject when the conversation gets too personal. After dinner, Emily does something she never thought she would. She picks up Daniel's phone while he's in the bathroom. Her fingers hover over the screen, her heart pounding in her chest. She's terrified of what she might find, but she knows that if she doesn't look now, the uncertainty will drive her mad. Her thumb presses the home button, and the screen lights up. It's unlocked. The first thing she sees is a text thread with a name she doesn't recognize. Samantha. Her stomach drops. The messages are friendly at first, just a few exchanges about work, casual stuff. But as she scrolls, the tone shifts. There are inside jokes, smiley faces. Then, the most telling message, "I miss you. Can't wait to see you tonight." Emily's heart stops. She doesn't need to read anymore. The words are enough. The cracks are beginning to show. She sits there, paralyzed, her mind racing. This isn't real, is it? She wants to throw the phone across the room, confront Daniel right then and there, but she doesn't. Not yet. She's not sure she's ready for what might come next. The next few hours are a blur. Daniel comes back to the living room, oblivious to the storm brewing inside Emily. She can barely look at him. He doesn't notice, or maybe he does, but he doesn't ask. That night, she lies awake again, but this time, she can't stop the thoughts from swirling. The truth is staring her in the face, but she isn't sure what to do with it. Confront him now, or wait and see if this was just a one-time mistake. Does she even want to know? For the first time in a long time, she doesn't feel like she knows her husband at all, and as the night stretches on, Emily faces the painful truth. She doesn't know who Daniel is anymore. So, where were we? Emily's world has just been turned upside down, right? She's found the texts, the ones that prove what she's been trying to ignore, and now she's stuck with this cold, bitter reality. Daniel's cheating on her. Now, the question is, what does she do with this new information? Do you confront him immediately, or do you sit on it, stewing in the silence while the tension builds? For Emily, that's the hardest part. She knows she can't keep pretending that everything is fine, but she's not sure if she's ready to face the truth head-on just yet. For the next few days, she acts like everything is normal. She doesn't bring up the texts, she doesn't say anything about what she found, but every time Daniel looks at her, she feels like he's hiding something, and she knows he is. And honestly, it's like a weight on her chest, a constant reminder of what she's trying to ignore. She can't help but watch him more closely now, catching little things that feel off. The way he looks at his phone more than usual, or how he seems too eager to go out with friends for work events. Everything feels like it has a new meaning, and she can't unsee it. Emily tries to focus on her work, but even at the office, the world feels different. She's distracted. She can't stop thinking about the messages and what they might mean for her and Daniel. And as the days drag on, she starts to pull away from people. She's not laughing as much, not as engaged with her friends. Her coworkers notice it. There's a distance in her that wasn't there before. People are starting to ask if everything is okay, but how can she explain what's going on? How could she tell anyone the truth? By the end of the week, Emily can't take it anymore. She can't keep pretending that nothing is wrong, she needs answers. So, she does the only thing she feels like she can do. She confronts Daniel. It's Friday night when the confrontation happens. They're sitting on the couch, the TV on in the background, but neither of them is paying attention to it. Daniel is scrolling through his phone again, that same habit Emily had noticed before. She's had enough. It's like a sudden burst of clarity hits her, and she feels like if she doesn't speak now, she'll never find the courage to say anything at all. "Daniel, we need to talk," Emily says, her voice quieter than she wants it to be. But it's still loud enough to catch his attention. He looks up from his phone, clearly startled. Sure, what's going on?" Emily takes a deep breath, her heart pounding. This is it. She's about to open the door to the truth, and she's not sure she's ready for what might come out, but she has to, for her own peace of mind. "I know about Samantha," Emily says, her eyes locking with his. The words hang in the air between them, heavy with meaning. For a moment, there's complete silence. Daniel's face pales, his jaw tightens. It's like the world around them stops moving for a split second. "Emily, No," she interrupts. "Don't even try to explain it. I saw the texts, I saw everything." Daniel rubs his face, his expression shifting from surprise to guilt. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this," he mutters. "I never wanted to hurt you." "Then why did you?" she asks, her voice shaky now, the anger building. "What did I do wrong, Daniel? Was I not good enough?" Daniel shakes his head, but it's too late for apologies. Too late for the empty words that don't fix anything. "It's not you," he says. "It's just... I don't know, I messed up. It was a mistake." "A mistake?" Emily repeats, her voice rising now. "You've been talking to her for months, Daniel. How is that a mistake?" He's quiet for a long moment, like he's trying to figure out how to answer, but the longer he stays silent, the more Emily's heart sinks. The hurt is too much to ignore now. "Do you love her?" Emily asks, almost in a whisper. Daniel's eyes flicker, but he doesn't respond immediately. That hesitation speaks volumes. It's like Emily already knows the answer, but she needs him to say it out loud. She needs him to confirm what's been eating at her, even though she wishes he wouldn't. "No," Daniel finally says, his voice sounding small now, almost defeated. "I don't love her. I don't even know what I was thinking." But Emily can't stop the tears now. All of the frustration, the anger, the confusion, it's all spilling out. "You broke my trust, Daniel. How am I supposed to trust you again after this? How can I even look at you the same way?" Daniel doesn't know what to say, and Emily, for the first time in a long time, isn't sure if she even wants him to say anything. She doesn't want the rehearsed apologies, she doesn't want the empty promises that things will change. What good are they when she doesn't know if she can believe him anymore? They sit there in silence for a while, the tension between them thick enough to cut with a knife. Emily wants to scream, to lash out. But instead, she takes a deep breath and stands up. "I need space," she says, her voice firm now. "I can't do this right now." Daniel stands up too, but there's nothing he can say that will make this better. Emily walks out of the living room, leaving him standing there, alone. As she heads upstairs, the reality starts to settle in. She's not sure what comes next. Does she stay and try to rebuild this? Or does she walk away for good? She feels lost, unsure of what to do. But for the first time in a long time, Emily knows she has to do something. She can't just sit here and let things keep falling apart. The next few days pass in a blur. Emily spends most of her time in her office at work, trying to distract herself from the chaos at home. Every time she has to talk to Daniel, it's like a weight presses down on her chest. She doesn't know how to look at him the same way anymore. She can't help but wonder if things could have been different. If she'd noticed the signs sooner. If she could have been more present in their relationship. The self-blame creeps in, but she knows that's not the answer. She doesn't deserve this. No one does. As Emily grapples with the reality of her marriage falling apart, she starts to lean more heavily on her friends. They notice the shift in her, and while they don't know all the details, they know something's wrong. They try to offer support, but it's hard to know what to say when the wound is this fresh. A few nights later, Emily has a long conversation with her best friend, Jessica. They're sitting at a local cafe, sipping on coffee, and Emily finally opens up about everything. The texts, the betrayal, the confusion. Jessica listens patiently, offering support without judgment. But at the same time, she's clear with Emily. You can't keep pretending this isn't a big deal. You have to decide what you want, because right now, it seems like Daniel isn't the same guy you married, and maybe he's never been. Emily doesn't know how to respond to that. The truth of it stings, but Jessica's words hit home. What if Daniel's never really been who she thought he was? What if this wasn't just a mistake, but a sign of something deeper? Emily knows she can't keep questioning herself forever. She has to figure out where her relationship with Daniel stands, and whether she can find a way to move forward, with or without him. So, if you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next chapter of Emily's journey. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. So, things have been slowly unraveling. right? Emily's feeling the weight of the betrayal with every passing day, and her relationship with Daniel is hanging by a thread. She's tried to keep it together, but the cracks are widening, and there's no ignoring them anymore. As the days turn into weeks, Emily becomes more withdrawn, more introspective. The joy she once found in small moments is gone. Instead, she's left with a gnawing emptiness, a constant reminder of what's missing in her life: trust, love, security. But Daniel, well, he's trying. Sort of. He's apologizing over and over, but Emily's heard it all before his words sound hollow now. And every time he says he's sorry, it feels like he's just trying to patch up the broken pieces without really understanding how deep the damage goes. One evening, Daniel comes home after another work trip, his face more tense than usual. Emily's been pacing the house, wondering if this is the night she confronts him. Once and for all, she's reached her breaking point. She can't keep pretending she's okay, and she certainly can't keep pretending that their relationship is the same. "Daniel," she says, her voice shaky but firm as he walks through the door, "we need to talk." For a moment, he freezes, his expression faltering. He knows what's coming. He's been dreading this moment, but it's inevitable. Emily's eyes narrow, and she feels a surge of power. She's finally ready to ask the question that's been plaguing her for weeks. "Who is she?" she demands, her voice quieter but full of rage. "Tell me the truth. Don't lie to me." Daniel shifts uncomfortably, and for the first time in a long while, Emily sees the cracks in his armor. He's not as confident as he once was, and something about that makes her feel both vindicated and sick to her stomach. "It's over, Emily," he says, his voice low. "It was just a fling, nothing more." "Nothing more?" Emily repeats, incredulous. "You expect me to believe that you've been lying to me for months, Daniel? You've been seeing her behind my back, and now you're trying to act like it was nothing?" Daniel looks away, unable to meet her gaze. Emily can feel the tears threatening to spill, but she won't let them fall. Not yet. She's too angry, too hurt. "You need to get out," Emily says, her voice steady but cold. "I can't do this anymore. You don't get to tear me apart like this and expect me to stay." Daniel opens his mouth, as though he's going to say something more, but he stops himself. There's no use in pretending anymore. He knows it's over. Without another word, he turns and leaves. The door slams behind him, and Emily stands there, frozen for a moment. For all the pain and hurt, a part of her feels a strange sense of relief. She's finally taken control of her life. She's done with the lies, but that relief is short-lived, because as soon as the door closes, the reality of what just happened sinks in. She's alone, but not really, because while Emily's standing there, trying to process the chaos, her phone buzzes. It's a text from Jessica. "Emily, I'm so sorry. If you need to talk or anything, I'm here." It's the kind of message that should comfort her, but instead, it just reminds her how alone she feels. She hasn't reached out to anyone about her pain, but Jessica's right. She needs to talk. The next morning, Emily meets with her best friend at their usual coffee shop. Jessica immediately notices the dark circles under her eyes and the way she's fidgeting with her coffee cup. "So, he left?" Jessica asks, though she already knows the answer. Emily nods, her voice quiet. "Yeah, I told him it was over, and I meant it." "Good for you," Jessica says, her voice firm but supportive. "You can't keep living in this limbo, waiting for him to change. You deserve better." Emily swallows hard, her throat tight. She's trying to convince herself that this is the right choice, but it still feels like a punch to the gut. "I don't know," Emily murmurs. "What if he really is sorry? What if he changes?" Jessica raises an eyebrow, a knowing look in her eyes. "Do you really believe that?" Emily doesn't have an answer. She wants to believe that Daniel is capable of change, that somehow this all could be fixed, but deep down, she knows that the trust is broken. It's shattered beyond repair. She can't just forgive him and move on, not without losing a piece of herself in the process. The conversation shifts after that, and Emily tries to focus on the positives. She has her friends. She has her job. But the truth is, no matter how much support she has, there's a deep hole in her heart that can't be filled with anything other than time. A week passes, and Emily's living in a weird kind of limbo. She's not sure what the future holds. Daniel hasn't tried to contact her again, and while that gives her some peace, It also makes her wonder if he's truly sorry or if he's just moved on. But then, a bombshell hits. It's late one evening when Emily's phone rings. The number is unfamiliar, but something about it makes her stomach turn. Hesitant, she picks it up. "Emily?" a voice says on the other end. It's a woman's voice, smooth and confident. "Who is this?" Emily demands, her heart racing. "This is Samantha," the woman says. "I think we need to talk." At the sound of her name, Emily's blood runs cold. The woman Daniel was seeing, the one who ruined everything. "What do you want?" Emily's voice is a mixture of shock and anger. She's not sure why Samantha is calling, but she knows one thing for sure. She's not ready to deal with this. "I think you deserve to know the truth," Samantha continues, and Emily's pulse spikes. What could she possibly want to tell her? Is this some kind of sick game? "I don't want anything from you," Samantha says, sensing Emily's hostility. "I'm just telling you that Daniel isn't who you think he is. He's not the guy you've been married to for years. He's been lying to both of us, and I think you deserve to hear everything." Emily's head spins. What is this woman talking about? She feels the tension building in her chest, suffocating her. She wants to scream, to hang up, but something in Samantha's voice, something raw and unapologetic, holds her there. "Emily, you've got to listen to me. There's a lot more going on here than you know, and I think you're better off hearing it from me than from him." Before Emily can respond, the line goes dead. What just happened? Emily sits there, the phone still pressed to her ear, completely stunned. At this point, everything's about to change for Emily. This is the moment when the calm facade of her life starts to shatter completely. Samantha's call isn't just a wake-up call, it's a sign that things are much worse than Emily realized. But now, she has a choice to make. Does she keep moving forward with what she knows, or does she dive deeper into the rabbit hole, uncovering a truth that could destroy everything she thought she knew? If you're feeling as intense as Emily right now, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more twists and turns in this story. Okay, so Emily's world has just been rocked. Samantha's call. That was a wake-up call. But it also opened a whole new can of worms. And now Emily's spiraling. She's sitting there, staring at her phone, the cold realization settling in that maybe, just maybe, Daniel wasn't the only one lying to her. She knows she has to face the truth. If she's ever going to move forward, she has to stop hiding from what's right in front of her. It's not just the affair anymore. There's something bigger going on, and Samantha is holding the key. So, the next morning, Emily calls her, no more hesitation. She has to know what's really been happening. When Samantha picks up, Emily doesn't waste any time. "You said there's more I need to know now." Samantha sighs on the other end, but there's no judgment in her tone, just an eerie calm. "Look, Emily, I didn't want to drag you into this. I've been trying to get Daniel to be honest with you, but he's been lying through his teeth. It's not just me, he's been seeing someone else too." Emily feels a cold shiver run through her. Someone else too. "Someone else?" Emily repeats, her voice barely a whisper. "How long has this been going on?" Samantha pauses for a moment, like she's weighing whether or not to continue. But Emily doesn't give her the luxury of hesitation. "Tell me everything," she demands. Another heavy sigh. "It's been going on for months, Emily. The affair with me, yeah, that's been happening. But that's not the worst part. He's been playing both sides, leading us both on. And I'm not the only one who's been kept in the dark." Wait, Emily's head is spinning. "Not the only one. Daniel has been seeing someone else," Samantha says, confirming Emily's worst fears. "Someone he's been telling both of us is just a friend. Someone he's been stringing along while keeping his life with you completely separate." "Who is she?" Emily says, barely able to form the words. "That's not my secret to tell," Samantha responds cryptically. "But trust me, Emily, this isn't just about me, it's about his whole double life." Emily hangs up, her chest tightening. Her entire world feels like it's slipping through her fingers. This man she married, the one she trusted, he's been lying to her, and not just about an affair, but about his entire reality. It's like she was living in a carefully constructed lie this whole time, and she's just now starting to see the cracks. But Emily is not done. Not yet. She pulls herself together and heads to Daniel's office. If he thinks he can walk away from this without answering her questions, he's sorely mistaken. When she gets there, she doesn't knock, she just opens the door. Daniel is sitting behind his desk, his eyes flicking up at her, almost like he's expecting her. "Emily," he says, his voice strained, but there's a hint of guilt behind his calm exterior. "I wasn't expecting to see you here." "Yeah, well," Emily says, stepping into the office, her resolve firm. "We need to talk." She doesn't sit down. She stands, arms crossed, her heart racing. She's not going to let him dictate this conversation anymore. "About what?" Daniel asks, leaning back in his chair, though the tension in his body tells another story. "You're a liar, Daniel," Emily snaps. "I know about Samantha. I know about her too. You've been lying to both of us." Daniel's face pales, and for the first time in this entire mess, he looks genuinely afraid. His eyes flicker nervously. "Emily, please let me explain." "Explain what?" Emily's voice shakes with fury. "Explain how you've been living a double life for months, how you've been telling me that everything's fine while you've been seeing other women behind my back. Is that your explanation?" Daniel stands now, stepping toward her. He's clearly panicked, trying to find the right words, but nothing he says will undo the damage. "Emily, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. I never wanted to hurt you," he says, his voice trembling. "I thought I could make it work with both of you, but—" Emily shakes her head, not allowing him to finish. She can't stand hearing his voice anymore, not when every word sounds like another lie. "Don't," she cuts him off. "Don't tell me how you thought it would work. How do you think this will work now? You've destroyed everything, there's nothing left to salvage." Daniel's face drops as he watches her, but Emily doesn't care about his guilt anymore. It doesn't matter, he had his chance, and he chose this. "I want you gone," Emily says firmly. "Now." And this time, Daniel doesn't argue. He turns, grabs his jacket, and walks out the door. But as he leaves, Emily catches something in his eyes, a flicker of regret, but it's too late. Emily's standing there, in the silence of her home, breathing deeply, as everything she once knew crumbles around her. Her hands are shaking, but she's standing tall, stronger than she's ever been. She walks into the living room, the place that once felt like a sanctuary. But now, it feels like a battlefield. She takes a deep breath, staring at the photo of her and Daniel that used to sit on the mantel. That photo's been there for years, back when everything was perfect, or so she thought. But now, that life feels like a distant memory. As Emily starts to pack up some of Daniel's things, she's flooded with emotions: anger, sadness, confusion, but most of all, relief. She finally has control, the freedom to make her own choices. But just as she's about to put his things in a box, her phone rings again. She picks it up without thinking. It's Jessica. "Hey, Em," Jessica says, her voice light, but Emily can hear the concern in it. "How are you holding up?" Emily takes a moment, staring at the photo of her and Daniel one last time before she puts it down. "I'm okay," Emily says, though she's not entirely sure if she believes herself yet. "But it's over. It's really over." And with that, we've reached another turning point in Emily's journey. The dust has settled on the confrontation, and now she has to deal with the fallout. The emotional weight of everything that's happened is sinking in, but the most crucial step is yet to come, because Emily's just begun to realize that letting go of Daniel means finally opening herself up to the life she deserves. But that's not going to be easy. The hardest battles are often fought within ourselves, and for Emily, the toughest part is still ahead. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into Emily's emotional journey, uncover the rest of the truth, and follow her as she takes the first steps toward healing. If you're enjoying this story and want to see where Emily's journey goes next, don't forget to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more. Okay, so things are getting heavy now. Emily's just made a huge decision. She's kicked Daniel out, and while it feels like a step forward, there's an undeniable weight on her shoulders. The house feels empty without him, and it's more than just the absence of his presence. It's the quiet reality that her whole life is about to change. But change is inevitable. The tension in the air is thick, and Emily knows that she can't go back. She's made it this far, and there's no turning back. Still, as she sits on the couch that used to be the center of their shared world, there's a part of her that's torn. She's done everything right. She confronted him, she stood her ground, and now she has the space to heal. But the pain of betrayal is no small thing. Just when Emily thinks she's found a moment of peace, the phone rings again. This time, it's a number she doesn't recognize. She hesitates for a moment, wondering if it's another bombshell waiting to drop, but she picks up anyway, heart hammering in her chest. "Hello? Emily?" It's a woman's voice, calm but with a sharp edge to it. "Who's this?" Emily asks, her pulse quickening. Is it someone from Daniel's past? Another one of his lies? "I'm Isabel," the voice says, and Emily's blood runs cold. Isabel. That name. It's familiar. Too familiar. It's the name Daniel's been using as his friend. The one he swore he was only talking to out of friendship. The one who had been in his life all along, but Emily had no idea how deep that friendship really went. "I think we need to talk," Isabel says, her voice steady but urgent. "I didn't want to involve myself in this, but it's time you know the truth." Emily's grip on the phone tightens. What truth? How many more lies can Daniel possibly be hiding? Isabel doesn't wait for Emily to respond. Instead, she continues, the words tumbling out faster now. "I've been seeing Daniel for a while. Emily, he's been with both of us, and I'm not proud of it. But I'm done being his secret. I'm done being his second option." The words hit like a ton of bricks. Emily feels the air leave her lungs. How long has this been going on? Isabel's admission cuts deep, but it also confirms something Emily's been dreading. Daniel has been playing both sides, but Isabel's words don't stop there. "Daniel's not the man you think he is," Isabel continues. "He's been hiding behind a mask this entire time. He's not just seeing me and you. He's been with several others too. I'm not the first, and I won't be the last." Emily's heart races. Her vision starts to blur, and she has to sit down. She's shaking now, her head spinning from the revelation. Isabel's words keep echoing in her mind. Several others. How deep does this go? How much of her life has Daniel been lying about? "I wanted to tell you sooner, but I didn't know how," Isabel says, almost apologetically. "But you deserve to know he's been using us both for different reasons. He's a master manipulator, Emily. He knows exactly what to say to get what he wants." Emily can hardly believe it. But deep down, she knows Isabel's telling the truth. The dots are connecting, and it's more horrifying than she could have imagined. Daniel's web of lies is far more complicated than just one affair. But there's still something about Isabel's voice that rings genuine. She's not the villain here. Daniel is. And Emily can feel it, deep in her bones. After a long pause, Emily manages to speak. "Why now, Isabel? Why tell me all of this?" Isabel's tone softens. "Because I want him to face what he's done. He's been getting away with it for too long, and I can't live with myself anymore, knowing that I was part of this. You deserve better, Emily." The phone call ends, and Emily is left sitting there, stunned. The silence in the room is deafening. This revelation, this final straw, has broken something inside of her. There's no coming back from this. Emily takes a deep breath, trying to calm herself. This is it, she tells herself. The truth has been laid bare, and now she's got to face it head on. But what comes next? What's left to do? She stands up and walks to the window, staring out at the city below. She doesn't know what the future holds, but she knows one thing for sure. She can't keep pretending that her marriage was anything close to what she thought it was. Her mind races through everything she's learned. The lies, the secrets, the manipulations. She thinks about how long she's been blind to the truth, and how much of her life was spent chasing a ghost of who Daniel pretended to be. The next day, Emily decides she can't wait anymore. She's going to face Daniel one last time. She's going to demand answers. She's going to demand the truth, and then she's going to finally close the door on this chapter of her life. She arranges to meet him at a neutral spot, a cafe in the middle of the city. It's public, it's safe, and it's the place where they shared so many memories. But today, Emily's not going there to reminisce. When Daniel walks into the cafe, looking every bit the part of the charming man who used to sweep her off her feet, Emily almost can't recognize him. He's not the same man who had promised her forever. He's the man who betrayed her. Repeatedly, without remorse, she stands up, her voice steady but with a cold edge to it. We need to talk. Daniel looks around nervously, sensing the shift in her demeanor. Emily, please, let's just talk about this calmly. Calmly? Emily interrupts, her eyes narrowing. How the hell can we talk calmly when you've been lying to me for months? You've been cheating on me, Daniel. You've been hiding other women from me, and you've been doing it for so long that you thought I'd never figure it out. Well, guess what I did? Daniel's face falls, and for the first time, Emily sees the cracks in his armor. Emily, I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought I could keep everything separate. You can't keep lying to me anymore, Emily says, her voice unwavering. I'm done. All right, so here we are, the final chapter of Emily's journey. After everything she's been through, from discovering the truth about Daniel's infidelity to facing off with him one last time, things are finally coming to a head. There's no more room for lies, no more room for pretending. This is where the pieces start to fall into place, and we get to see what happens when someone decides to take control of their life. So let's dive into the last part of the story, where everything comes full circle. The cafe is filled with a tension that's almost suffocating. Daniel looks like a deer caught in the headlights as he tries to make sense of the reality that's crashing down around him. Emily stands tall across from him, no longer the woman who would have cried for hours if she had found out the truth. Instead, she's calm, composed, even. She's done crying. She's done being the victim. Now, it's time for closure. Do you love her? Emily asks, her voice cutting through the silence. She doesn't want to hear excuses. She doesn't want to hear how it happened, or why it happened. She just wants the truth. Daniel shifts uncomfortably, and for a moment, his eyes flicker with the familiar mix of guilt and defensiveness. Emily, I never meant for it to happen like this. No, she interrupts, shaking her head. You meant for it to happen? You just didn't think I'd catch on. But I did, Daniel, and you have to face that. He looks down, defeated. I never stopped loving you, Emily. I thought I could have both. I thought you'd never find out. She lets out a soft laugh, bitter and empty. You thought I'd never find out. You thought you could keep me in the dark, keep me as your backup plan while you played your games with other women. And for a while, maybe I was just blind enough to believe that. But not anymore. There's a long pause. Daniel's face falls even further. I'm sorry, Emily, I've made a mess of everything. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Emily nods, her heart heavy but resolute. No, you don't. But I don't need your forgiveness either. What I need is to move on. And you're part of the past now. For a moment, it feels like time stops. Everything in Emily's life has led her to this very moment. This one decision to let go. She's finally realized that forgiveness isn't for Daniel. It's for her. It's about reclaiming her power and taking back control of her own narrative. You need to leave, she says softly but firmly. I'm done. Daniel stands up slowly, his shoulders slumped. The man who used to feel so invincible now looks like a shadow of himself. Without saying another word, he walks out of the cafe, leaving Emily behind in the quiet aftermath. The next few weeks are a whirlwind of emotions for Emily. She moves through her days in a haze, grief mixed with relief, confusion mixed with clarity. There's an overwhelming sense of finality now that Daniel is out of the picture, but there's also a fresh, almost electric feeling of freedom. She doesn't rush to get over it. She gives herself time to process everything, the hurt, the betrayal, and the anger. But with each passing day, the weight of it all lightens. She starts spending more time with friends, reconnecting with the parts of herself that she had buried for so long. She takes up painting again, something she used to love before life got too complicated. She even starts reading again, something that felt impossible when her world was consumed by the lies. Emily starts to realize something important. She's not broken. The betrayal wasn't a reflection of her worth, it was a reflection of Daniel's choices, and she didn't have to carry that burden. Slowly but surely, she begins to rebuild. In the months that follow, Emily gains a new perspective on her life and her relationships. She's learned that love is not about control or manipulation, it's about trust and respect. And now that she's free from the chains of her old life, she's determined to never settle for anything less than that. Her friends, who had stood by her during the hardest moments, watch as Emily transforms. She's no longer the woman who would have done anything to hold on to a marriage that was clearly slipping away. Instead, she's becoming someone stronger, someone who knows her worth. It's inspiring, really. Her ability to not just survive but thrive after everything that happened. One afternoon, Emily meets up with Isabel, the woman who told her the truth about Daniel. They sit in a quiet park, the sun shining down, and talk openly about the pain they've both endured. It's an unexpected moment of healing for both of them. Isabel had her own regrets about getting involved with Daniel, but she's also grateful to have helped Emily see the truth. "It wasn't easy, doing what I did," Isabel admits, "but it was the right thing to do." Emily nods, her smile genuine. "I'm glad you did. It was hard to hear, but I needed it. It was the wake-up call I didn't know I needed." For the first time in a long while, Emily feels at peace. She knows that what happened wasn't her fault, and she's no longer defined by the lies and the betrayal. She's defined by her strength, her ability to stand up, walk away, and start over. As the months pass, Emily's life begins to fall into place again. She's dating again. Cautiously at first, but with an openness to love and trust in a way that feels healthier. She's found someone who values her for who she truly is, not for who they want her to be. But more than that, Emily finds herself rediscovering her own identity. She's learned that life doesn't always go the way we plan, but that doesn't mean we can't find joy and fulfillment in the unexpected twists and turns. She's learned that forgiveness isn't about excusing the wrongs of others. It's about freeing yourself from the grip of resentment. In the final moments of the story, Emily stands in front of a large canvas, brush in hand. She takes a deep breath, smiles softly, and paints the first stroke of a new beginning. It's not a perfect picture, but it's hers, and that's all that matters now. And there it is, the story of Emily's journey from heartbreak to healing, from betrayal to empowerment. Sometimes, life throws us curveballs, and it's hard to see our way out. But like Emily, we can always choose to take back control. If you've enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts, and I'd love to hear what you think about Emily's journey. Stay tuned for more stories about love, life, and the twists we don't always expect. Emily's world is shattered when she discovers her husband, Daniel, has been cheating, heartbroken, and betrayed. She confronts him, but his apologies only deepen the pain. As she navigates the emotional wreckage of their marriage, Emily uncovers shocking truths about Daniel's double life. With the help of an unexpected ally, she begins to find the strength to rebuild. But as the truth comes to light, Emily is forced to make a choice that will change everything. Will she find forgiveness, or will the betrayal break her forever? Watch to see how Emily's journey unfolds. It's a story you won't want to miss.